Today in the battle arena, straight from the DCEU, we've got the mighty mortal Shazam going up against the Kryptonian Nam-Ek. So who's coming out on top here? Let's find out. Billy Batson, also known as Shazam in his champion form, is an orphan chosen by the wizard Shazam to be his champion, granting him immense power to defend the innocent from evil. In his superpowered avatar form, Billy has been granted the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury, invoked by a combination of each god's initials. He's able to leap dozens of stories in a single bound, punch through a concrete pillar, stop a bus from falling and hold it over his head, as well as battle against the supervillain Dr. Sivana. He's completely bulletproof. He's taken lightning blast from Sivana, as well as being punched through a building and knocked through the ground by the villain. Shazam is also superhumanly fast, able to move insanely fast, and even speed blitz some opponents simply by accident. He's dodged attacks from Sivana, has actually outsped Sivana, and tagged him as the two were flying towards each other, and Billy can even perceive the world in slow motion, a lot like Superman and the Flash. Shazam can also manipulate electricity and fire lightning bolts, usually shooting them from his fingertips, being powerful enough to match up against Sivana's energy blast. These lightning blasts can also impact electronics and technology, instantly charging smartphones or breaking ATMs. Finally, Shazam can also divide up his power and share it amongst several hosts, as seen when he created the Shazam family. So, that's we got one corner, Billy Batson, armed with the powers of the wizard Shazam. But entering the ring in the other corner, well, it's the hulking Kryptonian Nam-Ek. Nam-Ek is a Kryptonian war criminal, a member of the Sword of Ryo, as well as being the strongest soldier of General Zod, and one of the first great enemies of the hero Superman. Together with General Zod, Nam-Ek attempted to re-establish Krypton on Earth by bringing about a terraformation apocalypse, but he was ultimately defeated by Superman and re-imprisoned in the Phantom Zone. Nam-Ek has insane levels of strength, as even before being exposed to a yellow sun, he was stronger than the average Kryptonian, having his DNA mixed with the DNA of Ronders, the freaking Kryptonian cows. He's able to jump up to a plane and rip out the pilot with absolutely no effort, toss a van or take down an army helicopter, and he's able to battle against and overpower Superman. Probably most impressively, Nam-Ek was sent hurtling with a blow from Superman, knocked over several train cars upon impact, yet Nam-Ek still had the strength to casually punch one of those 150, 200-ton train cars across town. He's also strong enough to casually hurt Superman with his attacks. He's helped to knock Clark out, and is even able to create a sonic boom with a charge, confirming his ability to move faster than the speed of sound. Nam-Ek is also fast enough to catch a blitzing Superman, even though he is noticeably slower and bulkier than the other Kryptonians. However, this is countered by him being much more durable than the other Kryptonians. He's taken an explosion directly to the face, is able to take Superman's heat vision with just minor burns. He's even taken some serious blows and haymakers from Superman. Then, being a member of the Kryptonian Warriors Guild, Nam-Ek is a fierce and ruthless combatant, and his fighting style is based purely on his brute force and his huge, hulking physique. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, Shazam is one of the newcomers to the DCEU, and is meant to be a Kryptonian-level threat, basically a magical Superman. In our day, we're going to put that theory to the test throwing Shazam up against the Kryptonian Nam-Ek. So who's coming out on top here? Let's find out. Well, I think the most important thing that we can understand at the beginning of this fight is that Nam-Ek doesn't scale to any version of Superman besides the Smallville fight Superman. He's not one of those Kryptonians who's able to level cities or effortlessly defeat the Justice League. And we know that for two reasons. First off, Superman has consistently gotten more powerful throughout his entire run in the DCEU, starting from the beginning of Man of Steel all the way to the end of Justice League. And this is clearly obvious, even if you just look at Man of Steel. I mean, simply compare his Smallville fight to the Metropolis fight. Compare him learning to fly at the beginning of the film to being able to overpower the World Engine while weakened at the end of the film. Secondly, Nam-Ek is not a fully adapted Kryptonian. He doesn't possess flight, heat vision, or freeze breath, and he's not as strong, fast, or durable as Superman or a fully adapted Zod. So saying otherwise is just dishonest and not true. However, with all that being said, Nam-Ek is still insanely powerful. He's strong enough to effortlessly toss around cars or vans, even throw them hard enough to take down an attack helicopter. And definitely most impressively, Nam-Ek has picked up a 150, 200-ton locomotive and tossed it across the town with a surprising amount of precision and control, seeing as how he managed to hit Superman with that train. Then Nam-Ek has also just been able to battle against Superman, been able to overpower Superman and hold him back by his cape, threw him around hard enough to crack the concrete, and even helped double team him with Fiora and momentarily knock him out. However, like we said, this was a weaker version of Superman, and so isn't as impressive as knocking out, say, Justice League Superman. In fact, Clark had already been knocked out previously in the movie by the oil rig explosion. On the other hand, Shazam has easily punched through concrete pillars before. He's destroyed a metal barrel, sent it flying to a wall with a single flick, and he stopped a falling bus cold, held it over his head long enough for a dog to move out of the way. Probably his greatest strength feat was stopping a punch from Dr. Sivana cold the palm of his hand, and then overpowering Sivana, whereas the Doctor had previously punched Shazam straight through a building. He's also done things like pry the Eye of Sin out from Dr. Sivana's head, or break the wizard's staff over his knee. Both of those things are magical in nature, so they might be insanely impressive. We honestly just have no clue. So then what about durability? Well, when Nam-Ek attacked and brought down the plane, he took the explosion of that plane directly to the face at point-blank range. Also took Superman's heat vision with just minor burns and really little issue. However, most impressively, Nam-Ek took 4 or 5 punches from Superman, going all out, with the last punch being powerful enough to send him flying away, knocking over 3 train cars upon impact. And like we mentioned, after taking this attack, Nam-Ek was able to pick up one of those train cars and throw it at Superman. But the real question is, how strong was Superman at that moment in time? Well, here's the best we got. Earlier in the movie, Superman is able to shatter Kryptonian metal with a punch thrown with almost no effort. Then later in the movie, we saw that same metal flying through several buildings and taking re-entry level speeds and heat. With just one easy punch, Clark was able to shatter through that metal, and then he hit Nam-Ek with a lot more punches with a lot more power behind them. Durability really is Namek's greatest asset. So then what about Shazam? Well, his durability is slightly more impressive than his strength. He's just fine after being hit by an 18-wheeler and some subsequent cars. He's taken punches from Savannah that sent him flying into the ground or soaring through buildings, and he's completely and totally bulletproof, with bats and axes just shattering upon contact with his skin. In fact, according to Savannah, beings like him and Shazam can't be harmed by man made weapons. Magic can only be beaten by magic. And if that's the case and it's not just hyperbole, well, that spells big trouble for Namek here in the fight. However, and I've said this before, I personally believe that this is just a hyperbole. First off, when Savannah said this, he was possessed by the sins. He was literally possessed by pride. And I mean, just look at Wonder Woman. Diana is a magical being, literally formed out of clay by the gods themselves and given life by Zeus. And yet, Superman, a non magical being, and a Kryptonian at that, was able to injure her. So yeah, we're gonna say that Namek can injure Shazam here in the fight. And then finally, we'll need to talk about speed. And no question about it, Shazam is the faster one out of the two. He's been able to move insanely fast, and even speedless some opponents simply by accident. He's dodged attacks on Savannah, he's actually outsped Savannah, and tagged him as the two were flying towards each other, and Billy can even perceive the world in slow motion, a lot like Superman and the Flash. But Namek is a Kryptonian. Shouldn't he be super fast too? Well, thing is, really doesn't have that many speed feats in his one fight. He was able to catch Superman while Clark was flying at Feora, was able to catch Superman again when he was trying to fly away, and even managed to create a minor sonic boom when he was charging at a dazed Superman. However, there are also plenty of instances that showcase Namek's role in the Kryptonian group, that of a brawler. Superman managed to land a whole lot more attacks on him than he did on Superman. And even normal humans were able to see him and react to him. The pilots saw Namek coming at them from the air, because in it they told their fellow pilot to eject, well before he actually landed on the plane. A soldier on the ground was even able to partially pull out his gun before Namek came in with a blindside punch to Superman. Basically, Namek has mostly just shown his speed in jumps or in dashes, and neither of those two things are really on the same level as the other Kryptonians. So yeah, he mostly just relies on his strength and durability. Namek isn't the kind of Kryptonian with blindingly fast speed, while Shazam actually does have that level of speed. Now here's one final thing we need to consider. Shazam is relatively unexperienced with his powers. He's new to this whole superhero game, and isn't that used to fighting. So it seems like an obvious edge for Namek, who's a Kryptonian warrior. But here's the thing. Superman was also new to the whole superhero game, and wasn't used to fighting when he went up against Namek too. And yet Clark was able to fight against both Namek and Feora. He beat them too. So don't rule out Shazam just yet. But I don't even really know why I said that, because even with that comparison, even with how powerful Shazam is, I think this fight is going to Namek. Because there's a clear and obvious difference between Superman and Shazam going up against Namek. Superman was obviously physically more powerful. In fact, he was more powerful than all of the Kryptonians. You can't really say the same for Shazam. He's not as physically powerful as Superman, and it's arguable that he's not even as powerful as Nam-Ek. And that's where Namek's savagery, his experience, and just his physicality is coming into play. Really think Namek's coming out on top here. Nam-Ek wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sign off in the comments down below. Also, be sure that like button, subscribe button, and turn notifications to join the DanCo army. And I will see y'all next time.